How to teach a man how to treat you. Hello, my name is Chengi, and you, my precious one, of course, are my world. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment, and welcome to this channel right here, ladies, where I teach you how to present as a high value, high status, high worth woman that high quality men find absolutely irresistible. Can I get an amen out here in these streets? Okie dokie. So today we're going to be talking about how to teach a man to treat you. Now, a lot of us don't realize that men, people, humans, everybody really, a lot of what I'm going to be teaching today has and sharing with you today is not so much about men, but in general, we have to take the responsibility upon ourselves to teach people how to treat us, because if we don't, they're going to treat us the way they're used to being treated, or the way that they were treated, or whatever is their normal of being treated. And so, or the way that they perceive that they should treat us. But that is not always the right, it's not even the way life should be. And how do we educate people? How do we educate a man on how to treat us? And this is where we can talk about ways without being combative, without being rude, without being entitled. We have a way, there are ways that we can communicate to a man or to the people around us how they should treat us. You see, it is not my responsibility to figure out how to treat you. It is your responsibility to educate me on how to treat you. So when you leave comments and say, can you do a video on this or a video on that, then I know this is what my followers need, this is what my subscribers need, and therefore I'm able to understand your needs. But left to me, I'm just going to share what's important to me, something that's been coming up in my practice, what I really feel women need to know and understand in that time. So we have to, as high value women, understand that it is not up to the guy to treat me the way he wants to treat me, and for me to just go along with it because I fancy him and he's really hot. Okay, that is kind of not how it works. He treats me in light of how I present myself. He treats me in light of what I say and do. Okay, and that's what lets him know that this woman is different from other women. She doesn't take the same kind of nonsense that other women take from me. Okay, so these are the points that I'm going to be going into that are going to help you to teach how to teach a man how to treat you. Okay, so the number one thing, and I always say to my girls in Angels, if you're not in Chengi's Angels, go to Facebook and get yourself in Chengi's Angels. This is what I teach my girls and tell my girls all the time. Nip things in the bud. Don't let things go. Don't allow situations and circumstances to just run away with you. Nip it in the bud. Put an end to the foolishness as soon as possible. So when is the best time to correct a man? The first time he does it. Because at that point, you don't have the emotional weight behind it. You see, the thing is, we often wait until a guy does something multiple times, and then by then we are carrying resentment, we're triggered, we are, we have so much else that we have connected to that one thing that by the time we're ready to deal with it, it has been blown out of proportion. And we also have to understand that the mind, if the mind is left to fester over a thing over 24 hours, it naturally will blow that thing into proportion, which is why God says, do not let the sun set on an argument. Why? Because we have a mechanism in our brain that makes a little molehill become a mountain. If we let it go over 24 hours, it builds up and builds up and builds up. And that is to let us know we need to deal with it. We need to deal with it so that the matter gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And what started off as a small offense can become a huge deal. So it's really important that when that moment happens, even if we have to breathe for a little bit, maybe an hour or two, but within a 24-hour cycle, it is time for you to point out that behavior and say, you know what, honey, what you said to me earlier, it was very, very upsetting to me. Or I really don't appreciate it when a man speaks to me like I'm a child. I really don't appreciate your tone. I really don't appreciate when you do that. It's so much easier because at that point, you are not full of anger. Probably still still hurt. You see, hurt sounds different from anger, but if hurt is unaddressed, it becomes anger, and anger unaddressed becomes rage, and rage unaddressed becomes deep bitterness, and it starts to seep through your character. So it's really important that we nip things in the bud and point out to a man when he's done something that we don't like. Okay, now I always teach you ladies that all you have to do is caress, address, correct. Caress is to point out all the great things that he does, all the great things that you value about him. And this is very important, not just for him, but also for you. Because sometimes when we're addressing an issue, we forget that 80% of the relationship is really him showing up for you, being great for you, showing up for dates when he should. He just said this one thing, and all of a sudden we're using that to mar everything. So when we're looking for something to caress his ego and stroke his ego with, we're really reminding ourselves to be grateful for all the great stuff that he does and allowing ourselves to verbalize it. Then we address the issue. So honey, I think you're a wonderful guy who always shows up for me, who's always on the phone. I really appreciate you. I just wanted you to know that I don't appreciate it when I don't like it. I feel hurt. I feel sad. I feel unhappy. I feel uncomfortable if a man speaks to me like that, uses those words, raises his voice, blah, 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 blah. That's addressing the matter. Correcting the matter is, next time if you feel that way, I would prefer it if you would say this, do this, because now you are giving him a tool that will help him work with you. So it's not enough to just correct him and leave him to work out how he's going to work it out. He needs to know that if he ever needs to have a conversation with you, or he's feeling a certain way, that there is an actual legitimate pathway that he can use specifically with you, that he will be received, right? So it's really important, and this process is not just for the guy. This process is for you. The process is so that you are grateful and come from a place of abundance and gratitude, that you are clear about what the real issue is, and that you believe there is a way that it can be resolved. Because unless you have those three components, you do not have anything that you can communicate. Okay, so those are very important components. Okay, the second thing is when, for instance, a guy does something that is not bad. You can't call him out on it per se. Maybe he's pulling away a little bit, or it's something that you are feeling from him energetically. You can't put your finger on it, but your gut is screaming something. I'm not happy. Your gut is like talking to you, and you really don't know what to do, because you can't quite say you did this or you said this, but your gut is telling you something. Then what you have to do is mirror that energy to him. You have to mirror that energy to him, because you see, the thing is, most times we absorb that energy, and then what happens is we train the other person to believe that when they have negative energy and they come to us, then we will absorb it, then we will make it better, then we will fix it. But you don't want to set that precedent in a relationship, especially in the beginning, especially when you're dating. You have to let your partner know that you are happy, and that their job is to make you happier or maintain your happiness. It is not to come and dump their problems on you, whatever they are, whether it's something that happened at work or something that happened over here. You need to distance yourself emotionally, energetically, and you need to mirror that and say, you know what? If you bring bad, I will mirror the same energy, whatever that energy is, and you will find that this will never be, this soul, this spirit, this body will never be a place for you to bring that. So if you're going to bring it, then we have to talk about it. If you want to bring it, we can process through it. I'm here for you. I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to give, to advise you. If advice is what you're seeking, I'm here to just listen. I'm here to empathize. But I'm certainly not here to be the recipient of bad energy, sit in it, and just try and make it through a situation with you. So learn to mirror his energy so that he understands. Right. Number 3 is use your words. right? The only time we mirror energy is if we are dealing with things that are hard to detect on a natural level. These are things that are happening on a spiritual level. But where possible, we need to be able to draw out the non-verbal into the verbal, okay? So if, for instance, you can tell he's in a bad mood, then what you would say is, honey, I can sense from the way that you're walking around, or the way that you're breathing, or the way you're handling whatever, or the way you're speaking to me, that there's something wrong. Would you like to talk about it? Okay, so you're letting him know that he is signaling to you non-verbally that there's something wrong and that you are ready to deal with it. Okay, so let us learn to use our words. Again, a course that covers this in greater detail is how to talk to men so they listen. So you want to go to my website, chengisworld.co.uk/shop, and get yourself the replay of how to talk to men so they listen. Now, on a more positive note, how do you teach a man how to treat you? By applauding and celebrating the small and the great gestures that he does for you. This is such a big one. It's bigger than correcting. It's bigger than addressing. Because when a man shows up the way he should for you and you praise him, he's going to want to do more standard. Okay, if a man comes and picks you up on a date and opens the door for you, and that's more of what you want, tell him, my goodness, isn't it wonderful to be in the company of a gentleman? I just didn't think men like you existed anymore. Thank you so much for doing that. You have to praise, applaud those things that make you happy, because men like their world simple. They like their woman to be happy. They like the woman they're on a date with to be happy. They want the woman in their relationship to be happy. And the worst off-putting thing is a woman that cannot be made happy. A woman who just will not be happy no matter what he does. And a man doesn't know he's making you happy unless you verbalize, unless you let him know, unless you applaud whatever he does. This is so, so important, especially for those of you who are in long-term relationships, those of you who are married. You've started to take your husbands for granted, everything that he does for you every day, everything that he makes possible. Even if he's taking the trash out, you can still say to him, honey, I really, really appreciate you taking the trash out. I don't know, it just makes me feel so cherished, right? You can thank him, you can applaud him, and he's gonna wanna do more. Men are simple, they're gonna do more. And that way you are teaching him positively the things that make you happy. The first time he buys you flowers, applaud him, make it a big deal, because then he knows, oh, I want Chengi to be happy, I'll buy her flowers, because that always makes her happy. Okay, next thing is speak from your feelings. Again, this is something that you will get in the How to Talk to Men Masterclass replay on my website. But really, as a feminine woman, don't wear armor. Don't wear shields. Don't come through angry, combative, closed off, cold, icy. All of these things that we do are just ways of us not being willing to show up as vulnerable, not willing to show up as authentically ourselves, and not willing to own how we feel. So it's really important, if you're going to teach a man how to treat you, that he is aware of your emotional landscape, that he is aware of how your emotions are wired. And he can only know how your emotions are wired when you're vulnerable enough, authentic enough to speak from your feelings and not from your interpretation of what happened in the events, right? Because sometimes we don't want to say, actually, that really hurt my feelings. That makes me feel so uncomfortable. We would rather be angry and snappy or cold and distant than to say, this is how this makes me feel. So if you truly want a man to cherish you, he has to know your emotional landscape, because cherishing is the work of taking care of a woman's emotional landscape, making sure that she is comfortable, that she is happy, that she is satisfied, and that she is glowing within herself. If you want a man to cherish you, if you want a man to treat you right, he has to have the lie of the land. He needs to know how your feelings work. And he doesn't know that by giving out tantrums and being needy and clingy. He knows that when you soberly and respectfully communicate to him your needs. And again, all of this is covered in my How to Talk to Men So They Listen. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to work with me or any of my coaches one-to-one, do visit my website chengisworld.co.uk/shop and get yourself and book yourself a discovery call with either one of us. And also, if you would like a free copy of my ebook, four simple steps to attract true and lasting love, then of course visit my join the link below, where you will see that link and you can join Chengi's World and be on the newsletter, but also receive a free ebook. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. In the meantime, take care of you. Love you lots.